Sleepy Hollow, the Headless Horseman. There are places where a man walks unwillingly, even if forced by circumstance. Sleepy Hollow was one of them, a small village in the northern part of New York State. It seemed carved out of another time. Crooked houses with shingled roofs, a narrow church, a graveyard on the hill, and a road that disappeared into the dark woods. That road was infamous. Locals called it the Cursed Path. On misty autumn nights, travelers swore they saw strange lights, heard the pounding of hooves and the clash of steel. Many never returned. The legend told of a Hessian mercenary who died there during the Revolutionary War. A cannonball had torn off his head, and since then his body could find no rest. He rides at night on a black steed, headless, searching for another's head to replace his own. One October evening, a young school teacher named Jonathan Crane arrived in Sleepy Hollow. He had been sent from Tarrytown to teach the children reading and writing. Jonathan was an educated man, but he had no belief in superstition. To him, ghost stories were nothing but the echoes of rural imagination. But in his first days, he noticed strange things. At dusk, the village seemed to die. Shutters closed, candles were snuffed, even the dogs fell silent. When Jonathan asked his pupils about the horseman, the children lowered their eyes and refused to speak. "You don't understand, Mr. Crane," whispered his landlady, the old widow Mary Van Garrett. "There's a curse in the hollow." My grandfather swore he saw him with his own eyes. Those who laughed at the legend are long in the ground. Curiosity outweighed fear. On Halloween night, Jonathan took a lantern and walked the old road into the woods. The moon hid behind clouds, and the fog was so thick it was like walking through milk. Soon he heard it, dull hoofbeats, distant at first, then closer. His heart dropped. Out of the mist thundered a black horse. Its eyes glowed like burning coals, steam poured from its nostrils. On its back rode a soldier in a scorched Hessian uniform, saber in hand, but he had no head. Where his neck ended, black smoke billowed, carrying the stench of gunpowder. Jonathan froze as if nailed to the ground. The horseman swung his saber, and the teacher's lantern shattered. Only by luck did Jonathan hurl himself aside, stumbling blindly back toward the village. The next morning his eyes were red from sleeplessness. Mary only shook her head. "He has seen you now. He will return," whispers spread through the village. The elders claimed the horseman rides only for those who step onto his ground. And those who come back alive, he follows them until he takes their head. Jonathan resolved to uncover the truth. In old records he found mention of a Hessian soldier named Hans Winter, killed by a cannonball. His body had been buried near the Sleepy Hollow, without a head, for the shot had obliterated it. But the grave's location was lost in the swamps. By day, Jonathan searched. Wandering long among the bogs, he found a crumbling stone circle, the remains of a burial ground. Among the moss stood a headless cross. The soil was torn open as if something had clawed its way out. Jonathan knew then. This was the horseman's grave. That night he dreamed. He saw the horseman standing by his bed, holding a severed head, his own. The head opened its eyes and whispered, "The time has come." He woke in cold sweat, realizing the dream was more than a dream. Days later, hoofbeats echoed outside his window. Mary's dog howled and crawled beneath the bed. Jonathan peered out and saw the figure in the fog. The horseman rode slowly through the village, pausing at each house. But at the school teacher's door, the black steed reared, neighing as if it had found its prey. In desperation, Jonathan resolved to flee Sleepy Hollow. Saddling his horse, he rode out at night. The moment he entered the forest, the fog closed behind him. And then the hoofbeats again, pounding closer with every heartbeat. His horse panicked, bolting forward while flashes of steel sliced through the mist on either side. He burst onto a bridge over the river. The old villagers said no spirit could cross consecrated water. In desperate hope, Jonathan drove his horse across. But just as he reached the far side, he heard the screech of steel. The horseman's saber flashed, then darkness swallowed all. At dawn, the villagers found only Jonathan's horse on the bridge. Of the school teacher himself, there was no trace. From then on, the legend grew. The horseman no longer sought any head. He had taken one, the head of Jonathan Crane. And in the fog of Sleepy Hollow, travelers say they can hear not one voice but two, the roar of the horseman and the desperate cry of the school teacher. And anyone who dares to walk the road through Sleepy Hollow at night risks meeting them both.